Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful conversation with the gorgeous Emily Doe. Hello, Emily.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness, what a pleasure. What a pleasure it absolutely is. And we're going to begin this conversation honoring, honoring this incredible space here, the throat chakra. A place of tenderness. And we encourage everybody that's going to watch this to place their hand there very gently, and then maybe a hand into the womb space or covering the womb and the gut. And then we're going to invite in the heart as our magnetic presence. We don't need to place our hand there right now. We just know that it's there. I'm just going to take 3 breaths as we land into this space together. And as we breathe in, we're going to breathe in the power. And as we breathe out, we're going to say us. The power as we breathe in, as we breathe out of us.
Us.
Yeah, we can even vocalize. Good, I love it. The power as we breathe in, of us.
Of us.
Welcome, welcome to this first in a series of conversations called The Power of Us. The power of unity when we come into community, when we allow all that we are to stream, to flow, to glow, to be in balance, to push ourselves to the edges, to be together, to be more powerful together. This is what the power of us is. And very clearly, Shira, my guide, showed me US as universal streamers. So the people who have been around the light workers, the seeds of hope, star seeds, the cosmic souls, the activators have been already very, very present for the last 10 years, waking up, but new energies coming in for more of this to wake up. And so the universal streamers, to explain to the people listening, are the people that are coming in, and we are moving through the mainstream, and we are making an impact in the mainstream through all of our potent potential and through getting vocal. It is time for us to get vocal, and it's time for us to show what's inside. And we have been working on our inner worlds for a very long time, haven't we, Emily?
We have.
So, so yeah, the difference is that we have experienced the fear. We have journeyed through our own entrenchment. We've got out of our own kind of shitholes through working the work, and now we come out into and are raising our own freedom frequency. The power of us. Universal streamers coming together to talk, to celebrate sound, and to birth new creations. Emily, it's a pleasure to be doing this with you.
Such a pleasure, Natalie.
Yeah, yeah. So I trust and have trusted that I was to run an event. And this event is, guess what, called The Power of Us. Yes, and it's happening, isn't it, Emily?
It is happening.
You tell them when?
Absolutely is happening. 22nd of May this year, 2025.
2025, and I had to choose the 22nd because I am a master number 22, and that felt right. Emily, you came in to my life 4 or 5 months ago through another wonderful galactic community. And I saw you, I heard you, And I thought, I like this lady. I like this lady. And now we're here together. And that community that joined us was the Unbound community. And I know that this is a really powerful community for you as well. So I'd love you to introduce you and why you're in the Unbound community, and then why we're together as well. That will come out in this conversation. And then we'll dive into some deeper. Who are you? Why are you here?
Awesome, thank you. So I'm Emily Doe, and why am I here? I think I'm realizing more and more of that every single minute of every single day that I live here on this beautiful earth, and I'm here to help the collective to normalize and stabilize the magical and the magnetic in the each and every day and in the mundane aspects of every day. And I've been on a journey. I've been on an adventure, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here for a free-spirited adventure. And I met Nicola Humber at one of her masterminds, one of her writing masterminds, because last year was a hermit year for me, and I stayed hidden away purposefully because I'm one of these people throughout my entire life that's really wanted to be out there, desperately wanting to be out there, being seen, being heard. And in my younger years, I was that person. I was on the stage, I was out, I was ambitious, I was ferocious, I was passionate, I was kind of, yeah, I was so expectant, is a great word. I was expectant of a wonderful life. And I went through my teenage years and my 20s and my 30s, and over time I forgot I forgot to believe in magic. I kind of lost my magic. And it was during lockdown, during 2020,
Yeah, big year
and
was.
mm, my
Mm.
daughter, who was 4 at the time, just 4 years old, she was 4 in the May. She may not have even been quite 4 yet at this point. It was very, very early into the lockdown, and we were out in the garden having a fire pit, a chimney or something. And we were sat on these bean bags and we were eating some, I don't know, hot dogs or something. I don't know what we had, but it was one of those evenings where the weather was just gorgeous for like early spring. And I asked both of my daughters in that moment, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Mm.
And my almost 4-year old, she may have been just 4, I can't quite remember, said to me, I I am going to give away all of my magic, and I'm going to keep just enough for me to get me through the day. I was just blown away. I
Mhm.
was like, the wisdom from this little tiny person.
Yeah.
I
And
was
it's
just like,
quite
I
ignite.
forgot my magic.
Yeah. I know they're seeds, aren't they? This is the children's are seeds for us to remember.
Yeah. And I did remember in that moment. And that was a catalyst for me. That was a catalyst for me to get out of the marriage that I was no longer happy in, hadn't been happy in for a really long time. To wake up to myself that I was doing myself such an inservice, an injustice, staying in an unhappy place.
Mm.
And it was the start of the road to realizing my magic again.
And how did that shift feel like on a personal level?
At first, it was just that. It was that realization that I had put myself, I'd given everything away. I'd put myself at the bottom of the pile and I'd given everything away.
Yeah, and I totally resonate with that. And yeah, totally identify, resonate with that. Yeah.
So fast forward 4 years on, almost 4 years on, no, 3 years on, fast forward 3.5 years on,
Yeah.
and I'm out of the marriage. I'm having a million and one ideas about my business and what I want to create next, and I'm creating these grandiose plans, and it's all sounding to me like it's crazy. It's like it's craziness. It's like, what am I doing? And it was at that moment that I realized I wanted somebody to work with, that I didn't want to be on my own anymore.
Let's just take a moment for that one. This is such a powerful moment in our lives when we realize that we cannot do it alone.
And I've been trying to do it on my own for a really long, really, 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 really long time.
Thank
And
that.
that goes back to childhood things, childhood things of like, I thank my childhood and the experiences I had in childhood, because it gave me that basis of resilience, like that I am adaptable. I'm used to change. I lived in 10 houses before I was 10 years old. Uh, there was just constant change,
Yeah.
constant change. And I yeah, I rolled with that. But what happened was I stopped asking for help. I felt like I could do everything on my own. And I didn't ask for help from anybody, even my mum. I just didn't ask for help.
What happened when you started asking for help?
Magical things happened when I started asking for help.
I,
And so,
I want to get into the feeling of asking for help because that's really interesting because, this is part of my story as well over the last year and a half. Is actually to ask for help can sometimes feel like, we put our hand on our throat at the beginning. It can feel sticky. And the memories and the defects and the people pleasing, recovering people pleaser here, that can really, really kind of flush up through the whole of our cells, our veins. So if you don't mind sharing, because I think it'd be helpful for others, how you got
I've
out
had
of that point. Yeah.
I've had to practice. I've had to
Mm.
practice it. I've had
Mm.
to kind of, it's like I've strengthened a muscle
Yay.
as I've gotten more and more used to asking for what I want.
You want? What do you want, Emily Doe?
What
Yeah.
do I want? I
My sisters ask,
want,
yeah,
I'm here for the adventure. Like I said, I'm here for the adventure.
yeah,
I've realized that there's no final destination in mind.
yeah.
So freeing,
Hmm.
because I've grown up through my life. I'm 44 now, and always thinking like, why don't I know what I want? Why don't
Mm.
I know what I want? And I've not lived the conventional life.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been and I had that other realization during 2020 during the lockdown, like, there's a reason why I don't own a house. There's a reason why I've not put those roots into bricks and mortar. because I need to be light. I need to be able to move where I
Yes.
need to move
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. I love that so much. I love it so much.
But for so long, I shamed myself for that.
Yeah.
That I hadn't followed that linear, conventional path.
Mhm.
And so I've had to go through a process over the last year of redefining what success means to me.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
life has completely revolutionized since I did that.
Wow. 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 And vocal vulnerability, which is what the power of us is all about, is what has been a big part of the whole of your story, actually, from being a singer through to where you are now. But you were talking about Nicola Humber, and Nicola Humber is the founder of the Unbound Press. So that normally means that one is writing a book.
Yes, I am writing a book.
One has been called to put story into page and onto paper, and so you were called, weren't you, to write a book? Something very specific came to you in a dream, I know, because we've talked before, for you to birth the
Mm,
intelligence of
yeah,
this.
my dandelion story. My
Yeah.
book is called My Dandelion Story. I have a podcast called Dandelion Stories.
So listen.
And it was the dandelions that came to me in that liminal space between sleep and wakeness. And I, I just, it was almost like a bolt came out of the blue into my awareness. And I could just hear it was just I was just hearing this message. The dandelions have something they want you to know. The dandelions have something they want you to know. The dandelions have something they want you to know. And I'm like, what do they want me to know? What do
What
they
did
want me to know?
so
And
much?
so I got my journal out, and I was already in a regular practice of journaling. And almost a year and a half before this had happened, I started journaling. And the very first thing that I journaled, and it was like very much kind of uh, what it called. It's kind of unconscious journaling. I was just like kind of letting things free flow onto the page, and the two things that came out of me from my pen onto the page was I need to ask for help, and the second thing was you're going to write a book.
Hmm.
And I was like, what? Like, I can't write a book. That's not what like I don't want to write a book. That was my initial response.
Yeah. How long have you
But
been writing?
then after that, that's when I started noticing tons of synchronicities.
Yeah.
Um, Anyway, skip forward now to April 2024, and I had been quiet for a while because I got to this point of like existential crisis where I was having all these ideas and I wanted so much, like to make a success of myself, but I'd recognized that I couldn't do it on my own anymore and I needed somebody. I just wanted somebody. I didn't know who, I didn't no idea. Um, And so I decided to stop doing a lot of things. I decided to stop doing the freelancing work that I'd been doing. That
What
took
that
a lot for me.
freelancing work, Emily? Because you've got so many skills, so many.
What was I doing?
Hmm.
So I was working for as a content creator, writing PR articles and website blogs and things like that, and creating uh, content for a sustainable and ethical procurement company. um, who source and create products for the global hotel industry. And that was amazing. And yeah, I loved that mission. Like, I just thought that was awesome. But it wasn't mine mission. Yeah, it wasn't mine. And I was also freelancing at the same time for for the Bristol Bears Community Foundation, which Bristol Bears are like the big rugby team, the big rugby team here in Bristol, where I live in the UK. And I was loving that because I got to basically visit um, like elderly homes throughout Bristol, and I was doing mindful movement and meditation with elderly people. And I love old people. I love old people so much. Um,
Wisdom.
and and I aspire to be like a really amazing old person one day.
Me too. I have to share the image of you. Got this image of me right now in the background. This is like I love her. Look how amazing she is. But I will share the image of me as an older, and like got super muscly, still in like a onesie, like just looking.
Yes.
Yeah, is it
Yes.
right? Is how we choose to portray our energy out there into the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was having a lovely time doing all of those things, but I was like my energy was just so scattered. And I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at that. I have like I've got a lot of energy. I've got a lot of energy for lots of different things. I was also running my own movement community. Uh, you know, I just I had a movement foundation school program, so I had a school program, and I was working with a school, and I was working with teenagers who had different disabilities. They have like neurodivergence, but kind of, yeah, really complex additional support needs. And I was loving everything that's going on, but I was like, where am I in all of this? Like what is it that I want? What is it that I really truly want? And so I stopped doing it all, and I just kind of one by one kind of shut them down. And then I just got really quiet. I just thought, I'm going to take this time for me. I'm just going to recoup myself. I'm just going to get so quiet that I can hear like my heart calling to me again. Like, what is it I want to, what is it I want? What is it that Emily wants? Like people had gotten really good at projecting onto me like what I should be doing. And because I could do those things wasn't necessarily like, just because I could didn't mean I should. And I'd fallen into this trap throughout my life of just being like, yeah, I can do that, the people pleasing thing. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. And I do such a good job that they're like, you're not leaving, are you? You are going to stay here and keep doing those things. And I'm like, of course I am. Of course I am. Of course I am. And then it was like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to figure out what I want. I'm going to find myself in the world.
Way of
And
power, doesn't it? When we're
mm,
doing that, I
mm,
identify with that as well. Totally.
huge amount of fear involved with that because financially I wasn't in a great place at all. Um, like it was pretty dire actually, but I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I was going through divorce, right? So at some point during that early part of last year, I did get a relatively small divorce settlement, but it's the most money I've ever seen in my life, right? So then I meet Nicola Humber, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to dive into this. But the reason why I did that is because I had this very clear message from the Dandelions, and it was you need to write a book
Yeah,
and you need to start a podcast. You
yeah,
need to write a book and you need to start a podcast, and you need to tell the world what we've got to say
amazing.
about
Mm.
our resilience, about our free spirited nature, our wild nature, about our cycles, about our seasons, about the way that we shine our light into the world, even through the cracks in the pavement. We live in harsh conditions, but we still shine our light into the world. And I
Oh,
was like, okay.
and I love you were talking something about the dandelions of being connected with the stars and the moon. And did I hear that in your podcast?
Yeah, so they represent all of the celestial bodies. So yeah, they represent in seed form they represent stars. In their full bloom yellow, they represent the sun, and then the puffball before they break away represents the moon. but they also represent earth, air, fire, water.
Yeah.
Um, there's just so much, like, they're just one of the most spiritual plants. They're the most abundant plant species on the planet. They literally grow everywhere. They're here to tell us, they're here with the message for us. You know, shine your light, shine your light, speak your truth.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So it brings us so beautifully to like how has trust and collaboration played a role in shaping your journey and kind of joining the Unbound community? How? Yes, share an example of the partnership, the co-creation that's been happening now for you.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, like
So, we can go off on so many tangents, and there's so much to say, and there's so much enthusiasm and so much excitement and everything that's happening around the power of us at the moment. Um, but I suppose I have to mention Ebony Allard, because Ebony Allard, I found her at the beginning of last year, and it was through doing some work with her on my human design and on my values that really has helped me to trust myself again and to strip back the layers of conditioning that had I'd built a wall up around my heart for a start, a very, very, very long time ago. And the other thing that I had done to start that process before I even met Ebony, because Ebony was the person who introduced me to Nicola, but before I'd even met Ebony online, I had allowed myself the chance to connect with my inner child. At the end of 2023, I knew I was in a really, really unsatisfied place. And I now know from my human design that satisfaction is key. If I feel satisfied, then I'm on the right track. But I was so dissatisfied with my life and where I'd got to.
mhm.
And so I just knew that I had to bring in more joy back to my life again. And I'm like, what is the most joyful thing in my life? What has over time been the most joyful thing in my life? And I knew straight away that it was song. I knew that it was singing. And I hadn't given myself permission to sing in a really, really, really long time. You know,
So, song.
20 years or so,
Mm.
And so I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to bring song back into my life? And I heard of the singing mummies, and I was following them on social media, and I was like, I reckon I could do that. I reckon I could share songs. I reckon I could lead, circle songs sharing. And well, even if I don't want to do that, I think I need to go. I just had this feeling, this calling, like you have to go and be with these people, and you need to just be in circle with other females. And it
Where
was
did
the most transformative experience.
you can go to this circle without being a mum, and that really pulled my heartstrings for reasons of obviously my story. So yeah, I would like to go and sit in circle with the singing mamas and be with the babies and sing. Like that's really opened my heart, a window in my heart that was quite closed. So yeah, thank you for introducing it.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I went to the training weekend, it was more like a retreat than a training weekend. I mean, it was beautiful, and that was where I first realized how vulnerable I had become, because I can project and I can put out a really like confident exterior, like I've got it all together, and on the inside I can be like a bag of anxiety.
Yeah.
And and I got really good at that, really good at wearing that mask, you know and and that was when I first was able to be honest in that circle, and I spoke my truth for the first time, and I said, I really don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like for the first time in my life, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I need to make my life what I want it to be.
What
But I know,
came after that moment of exclaiming, actually letting out the truth?
yeah. So what came from that was me being able to be honest about how I'd been feeling about all sorts of things in my life, and I'd been struggling with attention, and I'd been struggling with, this creative force within me that was kind of constantly shiny object syndrome, like it was everywhere. And and so it allowed me to be honest about how that was for me. And I'd been wondering about ADHD for a while, but not wanting to kind of say it out loud to anybody. And then it allowed me, saying it out loud really allowed me to ask for help in that area of my life, but it also allowed me to recognize the that it had gone undiagnosed in my own father, and that had caused a ton of traumatic events throughout my life as I was when I was a child. And so it was a process of forgiving myself, forgiving everything in my life up until that point, and like the letting go of the conditioning. And actually, when I discovered the human design, it was like, this is a really empowering way to think about myself.
Yeah.
This is really empowering to realize these things about myself and what I am here for, and actually like I'm doing everything I'm designed to do. There is no right or wrong.
No, there is no right or wrong, exactly, and we will be because we have a lot in common through our childhood stories as well. That we were so petrified of failure as well. So yeah, totally. I just love that song. It feels like song was like a combustion. It just allowed you to listen to yourself, to be with yourself. And you talked about the heart. And for me, what I've been doing is melting the glaciers of my soul. And I read this somewhere, and I was like, yeah. And that's what the singing has been. The singing is not just the singing; it's the vibration. It's getting back into communication, isn't it, with all of our cells through the sound. We don't need
Mm,
to know intellectually what's happening unless we really want to study it and go into that aspect of it.
mm,
But
mm.
for
So yeah, I
you,
suppose using my voice in that way, it was the start of like it was a portal. It was a portal into the next creation, into the next version of myself, where I could be vulnerable, and actually being vulnerable was really serving me, because it was inviting, it was resonating with people on a different level, on a level which felt really connected, and also just like trusting that I could ask other women for help.
oh,
Like I grew up just being one of these people that had, like, I had all boyfriends, like I had all male friends, and I didn't know I could trust other women particularly, and it set me off on just a magical kind of sparky journey of like inviting in like these female connections into my life. And so yeah, so I've discovered Ebony. Ebony introduced me to Nicola. Nicola was just, again, I knew as soon as I heard Nicola talking that I had to write my book, and I had to do it with the Unbound Press. I knew, even though it was out of my price range. I was like, I have to do this. I could feel my whole body was being pulled towards her, and that's a sacral response. That's it. That's that gut. Like, no, it's moved me. It's like I'm moving forward. And I had the same thing with you, Natalie, when I heard you talking with Nicola on an Instagram live, and I was sat on the beach down in Dorset on holiday, and I was watching on my phone, on my smartphone, and I'm like, who is this? Who is this lady? Like, who is this lady that I'm clearly going to work with?
Yay. Well, and create with, because Emily, thank you so much for coming in here and opening up this series of the Power of Us conversations and sharing your wisdom and introducing us to your dandelion story, my dandelion story, and your book. And we're going to talk more about this, and there's going to be more presence of this
Of
coming up.
course, of
Um,
course. I
um,
just want to say, in addition to that, you know, that since we have been collaborating in a very short period of time over the last few weeks, wow, like the my world has opened up in so many ways that I didn't see it coming. And I was talking about expectation earlier, and I think that I got to a place where as a child expectation was like, wow, anything could happen, this is so exciting. And then over time it became like expectation of like, wow, anything could happen, this is really scary. And it's a
ooh,
very small shift in perception, but I've gotten back into that younger version of like, wow, anything can happen and this is so exciting, and letting go of this like expectation of how something has to be. And since I've let go of that again, it's like, wow, like beyond my wildest dream things are happening.
beyond my wildest dream as well, and it is it. I resound so much of your story, but to play back that coming into a co-collaborative space, trusting myself to be with other women, trusting to ask for help, and you sent something to me which was explaining all of your incredibleness, all of your skills. And I was like, I need that because your skills balance my skills. And that was the first time, and that was just at the turn of 2025. That was the first time that I actually also really, I've jumped before, but this is quantum. I'm going into that magnetic service, into my quantum field of, okay, I've understood we're linear and non-linear. We're working as multidimensional beings in a space. And that then to be in alignment with the right people, so being in alignment with you at this point in time, and how it has, as you said, over the last month, supported both of us. And this has been my passion. It has been my passion. When I owned Yummy Yoga Girl, I was briefly sharing this with you. I'm just going to finish it here. That it was all about understanding how could we impact through the collective message to make and broadcast all of the energies out there in a more powerful, impactful way. And this is now the power of us coming to fruition in 2025 and helping others to understand how their voices can also, their voice matters. And waking up the voices, waking up, and also just letting people to enjoy sound, to be in an experience, to enjoy sound. And for the solopreneurs, the soulpreneurs, like Nicola Humber, that we've met and have inspired us to come and speak, and to share their story from fear to freedom. And this is what the Power of Us is going to be about. We're going to start sharing more and more on this.
Mm, if you don't mind, Natalie, I've got one final little snippet of a story which I think is really, really important.
Yeah, go on, go on.
At the end of last year,
Mhm.
I signed up and I was part of a course which was teaching me about shamanic meditation and the power of shamanic meditation. And my teacher on that course did a one-to-one energy read with me, and we talked a lot about how Earth can support me as a person. And she said to me, Emily, on every single call that we've had, you have come across as so resourceful. You have so much ability. You have so much that you can do. But what would really support you more than anything is inviting in more Earth. How can Earth support you more fully? And it's only now, all these weeks on, that I'm realizing that I have throughout my entire life had so many ideas that live up here in the headspace, in the ether, but they've also just lived trapped inside of me, inside of my heart. And as a manifesting generator, I am here to initiate, but my main role is to respond. And so I've realized the power of my voice to be able to speak, to be able to ask for help, to be able to say what I need, what I want, and then sit back and wait. And you know what's happening? The response is coming. The opportunities are just flying in at lightning speed now to me because I know that about myself now. I know that I can't keep it inside. If I keep that inside, it is never going to manifest in the reality, in the real world. It's never going to come into the earthly realm. And what's exactly happening here with the power of us is this dream, this thing that I've been envisioning for myself, for my life, my whole life, pretty much. It's now not trapped inside of me anymore. It's been vocalized, it's been spoken out loud. You heard and you witnessed that and you came back to me, you responded and you said, I need that. I need that too. And now is the things that I spoke about that are like beyond my wildest dreams, they have been dreams of mine my entire life, but I've never ever had the confidence or the guts to say it out loud. And now that I've said it out loud, I don't even have to work for it. I don't even have to work for it. It's already here. It's
Yeah,
in the real world.
yeah.
It's landed in
Wow.
earth for me. It's
Through you,
material.
through you, and for you. And you began as the event manager, and now I'm going to exclaim to everyone, we love each other so much. We've shared so much that you are now a co-founder of this beautiful entity, which is called the Power of Us. And it's going to be beautiful on May the 22nd, but we know that it is so much more. And I think at the beginning we talked something about desire leading us. And one of the songs that I will be premiering, that I'm writing, co-writing right now with Frances Young, is that she allows pleasure to lead her, to guide her, to ravish her. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful space. And I hope that the people listening to this, we invite you to connect with us. So how can they connect with you, Emily?
Yeah, you can connect with me just via my website. It's probably the easiest way, emilydoe.com. I'm also on Instagram, emilydoe.dandelion stories. So
Yes.
yeah, that's the best way.
My website is Natalie Farrell, and if you want to hear and learn more about the Power of Us, you need to go into my events page, and all the information is there. And you can sign up right now to get information about when we're launching the tickets, early bird prices, all other sorts of wonderful ways to connect and promote and to vocalize
Hmm.
vocalize your infinite potential, which is VIP, but it's VIP in a whole new way. Emily, thank you so, so much. And I look forward to this unfolding even more. And for your story, darling, for what's to come out and about. And yeah, I absolutely honor you for showing us your velvet vocal folds and talking your truth. You were
And
her.
thank you. Thank you for helping me vocalize my infinite potential because, yeah, more and more of that is being shown to me each and every day. And I'm just, I'm here. I'm here for it.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Lots and lots of love.
Lots
Mm.
of love to you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you soon.